Before I start, I wish to acknowledge the custodians of this land, the Whadjuk people of the Noongar Nation, and their elders past, present, and future. I wish to acknowledge and respect their continuing culture and the contribution they make to the life of the city and this region. This brand new podcast, Moonlight Conversations, explores topics you and I want to talk about: life, love, hopes and dreams, and everything in between. It tackles the discussions we have with ourselves and other people about our thoughts, emotions, and experiences. Most of all, it delves into why conversations are highly essential for physical, emotional, and mental well-being, and how our souls and spirits need them to thrive and not just survive. We all deserve to be healthy and happy, to shine and to sparkle. So join me in this journey. Start a conversation with me now. It can inspire people and change lives. Tonight, I interview Michelle Gano, a coach, an author, and a former teacher. She is also the creator of Fixer Upper Parenting, a course which helps parents get through the day and enjoy the childhood years of their kids, even if they're busy. She talks about how this social-emotional approach supports parents in their journey of raising good children, as well as helps children create a bond or connection with parents. She will discuss the course outline and how this supports both parents and kids, and how the course has changed and is changing people's lives. She will also share stories of her most powerful and difficult conversations with kids, and why being loved and cared for is crucial to kids having the life skills they need. We talk about how children can thrive and become balanced adults. Welcome, Michelle.
Hello, thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome. The pleasure's all ours. So I just wanted to start my question with how you started Fixer Upper Parenting. What was your background and what made you think about starting this?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's a lot of inspiration that goes into this course that I made, but a lot of the bulk of it is I'm a former teacher, and so a lot of the students that I taught, I always got uh, gifted, I'll say, with those kids that most people would call the tough kids, the ones that have difficult behaviors. And but the principals always knew that I had that patience for them and that love for them, and they always became my favorites, even though you're not supposed to say that. So yeah, so I over the years I've created a lot of like visuals and activities that I've done with them that I just created. A different type of classroom and now home environment where I use these same tools with my own kids at home. And I really wanted to just share them with more families because this is my way of reaching kids in a different way than actually teaching them in the classroom. But yeah, that's where a lot of the inspiration came from my own students, and then seeing it work in my own home with my kids.
Okay. Well, would you mind telling us more about Fixer Upper Parenting and what this course and
Yeah,
how
absolutely.
these help kids?
Yeah, absolutely. So really the purpose of the course is the childhood years go so fast, right? So you always hear people say, "Oh my gosh, like don't blink, it goes so quick. Enjoy it," right? And so this
Yes.
really is a way of helping create moments together as a family that are just like lifelong memories, but then also helping kids specifically with behavior issues overcome that and create a different type of home environment that they'll be able to be more successful in, and a little bit of a happier home environment, right? Instead of those like stress filled days where you're just like waiting for bedtime to come.
Yes.
So that's really, this is to eliminate that feeling. So a lot of the activities are, there are a lot of visuals. I'm a visual learner, and I notice that a lot of kids work well with that. So it's more of like a proactive way of addressing behaviors instead of being reactive. So a lot of that kind of stuff I have in there, all printable resources, and a lot of activities that are more like things that you wouldn't really think of for behavior management, but things more like, hey, how can I make you feel loved today? And like conversation starters that are actually key to helping them just build a deep bond, but have better behavior as well.
Okay, so basically what you're saying is you are doing this so that we can get more good behavior from the kids as well as help parents out with managing their kids in such a way that they can get more out of the conversations that they have with their kids. Is that right?
Yeah, no, that's spot on. Yep. And there's a lot in there, but that's the overview.
Okay. And tell me more about sample activities. Like, I understand you have like the daily check-in as well as the how I feel loved and how I love myself activity.
Yeah, those are the three that I would love to highlight. So the first one is the daily check-in. So that's really for the parent, because
Mm,
I've found that as a teacher, as a parent, if you're not if you're not calm yourself, you're not going to be able to face the day well. So
yes,
this is
that's
my
right.
way of, I actually created this when I was teaching and felt super burned out. And it has 5 components, and it's a sheet of paper that I fill out each day,
Mhm.
and on it, and it's quick. It takes maybe like 5 minutes of the day, but it's definitely worth it. So the first thing is affirmations. So just like being kind to yourself. So just saying like, I am what? Like what do you need to hear today to just feel good about yourself to be able to
Okay,
face the day?
that's good.
Self-care, so making time for yourself. So writing down for 10 minutes, I will what? So because a lot of people think of self-care and they're like, well, I don't have an hour to go to the spa, right?
Yeah,
And we don't, but you
we
could think of it
don't.
as, yeah, you can think of it as like 10 minutes. Okay, what can I do for 10 minutes today that is going to be just for me?
For
And so that could
example,
be
light a candle or something like as simple as that.
exactly.
Is that right?
Yes. Yes, so lighting a candle, or like I love, like even I just watched the sunrise before, and
Yeah.
that to me is like I love starting the day like that.
Mm,
So even that, I'm like, okay, good. Like I kind of can center myself. The
yes.
next thing is goal setting. So
Yes.
I just write down like today I will, and write like the two top things that I need to get done today, just so I keep that top of mind. And
I just wanted to find out with goal setting, does it have to be like related with the kids and all that, or does it
oh,
have
it
to be?
doesn't have to be. Oh, no. No, a lot of times it has nothing to do with my kids. It's like work related. But yeah, you can have personal things, you can have work related stuff.
Okay,
And
that's great.
yeah, and then the next part is gratitude. So
Yeah.
finding 3 good things in the day. So when I
Yeah.
was a teacher, I used to have a little post-it on my desk, and anytime a good thing happened, I would just jot it down, even if it was something so simple. And by the end of the day, even if it felt like a crazy day, you could look at that list and say, okay, it was a crazy day, but good things happened today. And so
Yeah.
I really love that part of this exercise that I do. And then the last one's just fun. It's we have to laugh every day, right? Because
Yes.
life is too short not to. So I
Yes.
write down something that made me laugh that day, uh,
Okay.
and and I love like looking back at the old ones. So if I'm ever in like a crappy mood, I can go back and look at the things that have made me laugh like during the week, and it just kind of brings a smile back. So in the gratitude section of this, I write down 3 good things that happened to me that day. So it could be something big, it could be something small, just something that made me smile that day. And so when
Yes.
I can look back on my day, I can say, all right, it might have been a crazy day, but at least good things happened to me that day.
Yes. So
So that
basically, being thankful for whatever good that's happened in your day, and even little things and small things that make up to, the general feeling of being happy. Is that right?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the last part of this is just having fun. So it's really important to laugh at least once a day, hopefully more than
Yes.
that. But writing down something that made me laugh, especially being with kids as a parent or a teacher or
Yeah.
not
Something
having
that
kids,
something
you can
that
always
one
find
of the
something.
kids said or done or
Exactly. Yes.
something. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So
That's
that's my
great.
little check-in that I do. And it's a quick little write up. Like I have a little worksheet that I fill out each day. And it just helps me, it really like helps me enjoy my days instead of dreading them. And
Yeah.
I've just found a big difference in my own life using it.
So it makes you have something to look forward to basically in the
Definitely.
mornings, doesn't it?
Yeah.
How long does it take you? You said 5 minutes. It doesn't take long at all, does it?
Oh no. Yeah, no, because I don't have time to do something more than that.
Yeah.
So I keep it short and sweet, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, 5 minutes, 10 minutes if you really want to be in depth, but it could be something so quick.
Yeah.
Just to
So
jot it
basically, any parent can do this.
down. Oh yeah.
Yeah. So easily, you like do it in 5 minutes and be done with it. And it just brings you so much during the rest of the day, doesn't
Yeah, and it's cool because as a parent and even just as an adult without kids, you can bring the kids into it. And so what I liked doing even with both like teaching and parenting,
Yes.
I would say to my kids, I would say, what's something good that happened to you today? Like these prompts are good for them too because a lot of times people don't ask you that, right? And
Mhm.
so it starts to train your brain to just think differently and think a little bit more on the positive side.
Yeah.
Not saying everything is sunshine and roses, but
Yes.
it's healthier for you to just start thinking in that way. So to bring the kids into it, it's really fun just to have them develop those skills early.
What about people who don't have kids? Can they certainly do this? Like people who
Yeah.
work with kids or are
Mhm.
around kids most of the time, they can certainly do this as well, can they?
Yeah, absolutely. And even if you're not like working with kids, you can use this just for yourself, right? Because it's really
Yes.
not kid related. This is more, I call it in my course, it's a gift for you, the
Mhm,
parent or the person, whoever
mhm,
you are. It's a
mhm.
gift for you to be able to just have a better view of your day. Because so many times the negative things in your day are what take priority or what take up your mental space, right? And instead
Exactly.
of focusing on those, that it's like of course you're going to need to address those because there's plenty of it, but you can also then lighten it a little bit using something like this. So kids or not, you can definitely.
I'm just curious, you were going to talk about the joys and tribulations as well of parenthood, but
Mhm.
is parenting different from parenthood? Is there any difference at all? Because you obviously know a lot about parenting. You create this course and all that. So is parenthood more of like just being a parent and parenting is more like is it
Yeah.
taking like more of an active role in your sons or daughters lives with like managing how they grow up and everything else?
Yeah, I definitely think you could say that. I've never thought of it that way, but it definitely makes sense the way that you just explained it. So, like the parenting is more of the hands-on, like, okay, what do we got to
Yeah.
do? Because every day is a little crazy. Even my husband and I said to each other last night, we have little ones, so we have three and a
Yes.
half year old, a 1.5 year old, and a 3 month old. So it was just pure chaos at dinner time last night, and the
Oh
two of us like looked
wow,
at
I
each
can
other and
just
we were like,
imagine.
Yeah, we were like, okay, like what happened to the kid, like cuddly kids, right? Like that all of a sudden in an instant, you're like, okay, parenting mode. This is not a pretty one, but we're gonna address it.
That's awesome. So what do you like about being a parent?
Oh man. So I've always been the person who has just always wanted kids. And I think I just have always loved teaching in that way because even my students, I looked at them as my own kids. Like I just
Yes.
the level of care that I have for these little nuggets
Yes.
are just very, very big. But yeah, so my favorite part of parenting is really just being able to take what I've learned in my life and like the hard things that I've gone through and teach them how to do things differently, like this. So, like, this whole course is also inspired by my own childhood where I felt a lot of stress. Like if I had a parent or a person in my life doing what I have laid out in this course for me, I think
Mhm.
my life would have been a lot different. I'm glad that didn't happen because now I am who I am today.
Yeah.
But it's like it's all just been just ways to help me grow as a person. And so now to be able to help my own kids learn this earlier in their life, that
Mhm.
to me is like huge. And it's just fun. I mean, there's plenty of crazy moments, but I love being with them. So
Yeah,
it's
that's
definitely entertaining, we'll say. That's a good word for
that's
it.
right. And I guess it also relates to how you feel loved, the context of parenting. What do you say about that? The next activity about how I
Mhm.
feel loved. How do you define it?
Yeah, absolutely. So the how I feel loved activity is really finding out how your kids feel loved. So this is something that you can have as a conversation or you can write it out. I have like the printables in the course, but
Mm.
it's really just asking the kids like, hey, how and they're completing this phrase, right? Like I feel loved when my teacher blank. And so it's just helping them say what do I do that makes you feel loved? And it's something
Okay.
so simple, but it's
Yeah.
amazing to see the different answers that you'll get, right? Because sometimes like I love like hugs when I'm like not
Yeah.
feeling well, I'm like I just want someone to hold me,
Yeah.
but some kids don't like that, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
where if I were to do that to a child who didn't really like enjoy that or
Enjoy that.
make them
Yeah.
feel better, then it's not helping them, right?
That's
So
right.
to learn how they actually are feeling loved by you and then proactively do that is just a huge
Okay.
way of just connecting with the kids too on a deeper
Yes,
level.
that's perfect. Parents can do this as well by telling their kids how they feel loved back,
Oh yeah,
how they
definitely.
feel loved in return. Have a conversation about it. Work on those feelings of being loved.
Yeah.
Like you said, if they want hugs, then you can give them more hugs.
Right.
And if they want to feel appreciated by saying, oh, you did a great job today, really great. And what about how I love myself?
Yeah, so I've learned in my life that if you don't love and take care of yourself, you're not
Mhm.
going to be able to love other people fully, right?
Yes.
So this activity is really teaching kids and people, like I use this myself. All of these activities are like for kids or adults. Yeah,
Yeah.
I teach them how to love themselves and that's like two different ways. So it's a little printable, but it focuses on like your inner traits, like your character traits, but
Hmm.
then it also focuses on like your appearance. So when I look in the mirror, I love my what? My
Your
eyes, my smile,
smile.
things like
Yes.
that. And
Yes.
then so it's helping them again, teaching them that little skill of like, okay, what do you love about yourself when you look in the mirror? And
Yes.
then also like what do you love about your heart? Like what about your character that you love? And
Yeah.
just so that's another fun activity.
Oh, that's awesome. You know what? I feel it's a great course because not only it helps students or kids, but also helps the adult for a better individual out of the kids. With how I love myself, you also get to build self-confidence in the kids.
Definitely, yeah.
So that's a really important actually ingredient to making a self-balanced kid. Is that
Absolutely.
right?
Yeah, and something that there's a phrase that I love, and it's just something I've learned is hurt people hurt other people, right?
Yeah.
So my goal with this course is like to help people not hurt anymore, help people heal all of those like
Yes.
awful parts inside of them to then be able to like go on for like a beautiful life, you know, and helping other people, loving other people. And it's something so simple, but it's something that we just don't always see in today's world.
Exactly. Well, last week in my previous podcast episode, I spoke to Joyce. She is a trauma coach, and we tackled just basically ties in with that because you don't give out what you can't give out, and you can only give what you have in yourself, I guess.
Mhm.
So if you
Yeah.
only have hurt, then that's what you're going to pass on to your kids. And we want to
Mhm.
change that with fixer upper parenting, don't we? So
Oh my gosh, so badly.
yeah,
So
so
badly.
we need to make our kids feel safe and loved and make them feel whole and that they are enough, are good, feel good in themselves. Is that right?
Yeah, it's absolutely right. The way that I've like put this together and just looking back on even my teaching years,
Mm-hmm.
as I was helping all of those students who were from troubled homes or from like experiencing emotional needs, I
Yes.
was actually healing myself. So it's funny because all of these activities, like I mentioned earlier, were things that I wish were done for me when I was younger.
Yes.
And so how has it changed my life? It has completely, because I've used these activities myself to heal certain wounds and
And
be able to
trauma.
then pass it along to
Yeah.
other kids and know that okay, if I can just instill these simple lessons in their lives, like can you imagine the impact that they're going to be able to have? And it's
Exactly.
cool because with kids too, you hear like they repeat what you say, right? So
Exactly.
simple
Oh,
things like,
yes.
yeah, even with my son, I do this whole uh, like how do we calm our body, right? And so
Yes.
we use that phrase a lot in my house, and I did with the kids in my class too. And it's so cool because even the other day I was having a moment where I was like not having a great moment and I was feeling overwhelmed, and he came right over, and he, again, remember, 3 years old, and he
Yes.
comes over and he's like, mommy, it's okay, just calm your body like this. And he like took 2 breaths, and I was like, how freaking cool is that?
Oh.
Like, I was like, that's
Oh,
awesome.
that
That like,
melts my heart.
yeah, I was like, I first
Oh
of all
my
needed that in the
gosh.
moment, like, but
Yeah.
how cool that I know that he's going to grow up. And of course, he's not going to be perfect. He's going to be a mess in some ways, but having that simple phrase to come back to, like,
Yeah.
that's huge for him.
Well, if he's like that at 3, can you imagine him being an adult?
Right, like being even more self-aware, you know,
And
it's
more
pretty
and
cool.
more and more like perfect as an individual. Well, we're not aiming for perfect because none of
Yeah,
us
no,
are.
he's definitely not
But
perfect.
yeah, but 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 you know, we're good people. That makes him so lovable just saying that to you.
Yeah,
Oh
absolutely. So
my
I
god.
love hearing it back because I'm like, oh wow, it's sinking in. Like even when you think kids
Yeah.
aren't listening, they really are. They
Yeah,
take it
so
in.
I guess that makes you an expert in parenting because you've gone through all the hurt and all the, I guess, trauma you can say
Mhm.
that
Yeah.
you've had in your past, but you bounced back from them, and then you do this course as well to help other people. That's awesome. So, have you noticed any other changes in some of the other kids?
Oh my gosh, very much.
Yes.
A lot of my kids, my students, I still call them my kids, sorry.
Yeah.
A lot of them had like emotional needs,
Yes.
like anger issues, or like I had one student in particular who would have a like breakdown every single day,
Mm.
like a panic attack.
Oh,
So in kids like that, it definitely took longer to see like them kind of sink, like all of this
progressing.
sink
Yes.
in.
Yes.
But when it did, all of a sudden it was like, boom, they got it, and
Oh,
so it was really amazing to see that difference. So the things that I do and did in the classroom
yes.
were helpful for kids who didn't have any like emotional need, like issues or anything,
Yes,
but
yes.
it also helped those kids who were very extreme on the scale. So that's what I think was special. And something else that I was very big on was I always felt bad for those kids who had troubles, how
Mm.
they were always like had a label on them, right? And the other
Oh,
kids
yes.
would like look at them. And so in my classroom, that did not exist, because
Mm.
when that one student would have a like panic attack, we would, and he calmed down, we would all come to the carpet and we would be like, okay. And I would just phrase a question and I would say, raise your hand if you've ever felt overwhelmed by something. And all
Mhm.
of a sudden every hand would go up.
Uh,
And it was just a way for them to be like,
to
oh,
relate
okay.
to, yeah,
Yeah, like we
what
all
just
feel that.
happened.
Okay,
Yeah.
he's reacting differently, but we all have that same feeling.
Yes.
So that
Yes.
was another cool thing that I would just make sure that they never felt like they were the only one, because we
Yes.
all have moments that we want to
Yes.
just
Exactly.
like break
Exactly.
down, right?
Yes.
So
Yes. Do you remember any powerful conversations you had with your kids at all? Like, aside from mommy, calm
mhm.
yourself
Yeah, that
down.
one's big.
Yeah.
That one was big. And there's another student I'm thinking of in particular. He had really bad anger issues. And when I was younger, I did too. And I would just like, for lack of a better word, freak out with things. And
Oh,
I would just, my reactions were big
yes.
and not pleasant. Because that's what I saw in my
Mhm.
home. So it was like I was doing what I saw and that was it.
Yeah.
So this one student, I was like, oh, this is a good project for me because I lived it. And he worked so hard on it. And it was just the powerful part about him was he would then go on, similar to how my son did, go on and help other kids who were hurting like that. And
Oh,
I said that to him because I was like,
yes.
look, I used to feel this way too, and now I get to
Yes.
help
Yes.
you. And
Yes.
now guess what? You get to go help someone else. And so
Yes.
it would be cool to see when another student was having a hard time, he would immediately go over. He knew, like, go
Oh,
right over, and he would be like, "Hey, it's okay. Like, I understand. I
that's
have that
sweet.
too." And I
Oh,
was like, "Oh,
yes.
my heart."
Yes. Oh my goodness. It just makes you feel validated, doesn't it? Because as a teacher or as a parent too, you're doing the right thing, teaching
Yeah,
them
absolutely.
these things because you see it in them. Wonderful. What about the most difficult one?
The student that used to have panic attacks every day,
Yeah.
um, in the middle of the like attacks, I would always be very present with him just so he didn't feel like he was by himself, like figuring
Yes.
this out. So in the beginning, I was like, "Hey, it's okay. I mean, like it's okay. You're okay.
Mm.
And he would burst even bigger, and he would be like, "It's not okay. It's not okay." And I would cry. He would cry, like just because my heart, like it would just. Oh, it was awful
Oh,
to be with him like that.
yeah.
But it was interesting because all of a sudden I was like, he's right. Like, he's not okay. Why
He's
am I
not.
telling him he's okay? He's not. And this is not an okay situation. So
Yes.
I started from that point on saying, I'm here for you. Like, I'm here. I'm
Yeah.
here. Just because it was a different phrase that just it didn't set him off, and it just
Oh,
reminded him that like I was there. Yeah. And I was like,
same.
I am going to stick by you, because he didn't have adults at home that would stick by him when they needed, like
Oh,
when he needed it.
yeah.
So I just had to prove to him like, you can trust me. I am here. I'm not
Mhm,
going anywhere.
mhm.
And he resisted a lot, like a
Oh,
lot.
okay.
But over time, he he warmed up to it and realized, okay, she's not kidding. She's not going anywhere. So, and I still keep in
Yeah.
touch with him to this day, which is really special.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
good. Sometimes saying it's okay is not really okay. Well,
Right. Yeah. It's like
yeah,
almost a
that's
trigger.
right.
It's like,
Yeah,
no.
sure. Yeah, but I'm not feeling okay, so it's not okay. But
Yeah. Don't tell me
that's
that.
that's really a light bulb moment for me, in fact, because sometimes we automatically say to someone who's not feeling okay, it's okay, it's all right,
Yeah, it's
it's
yeah, it's
going to
like your
be
automatic
fine.
reaction, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
automatic reaction. But then, when you think about it, it's not really okay to say it's okay sometimes
Mhm.
because they may not feel that way. So
Right.
it is better to say that you're just there for them, isn't it?
Mhm.
That's
Yeah, and even as an
awesome.
adult, one time I was going through like a challenging time, and my
Mm,
friend said to me, "Hey, do you need like before you go any further, do you need like encouragement or do you want strategies to actually help you?" Like, and
mm,
he was asking me like, "What do you need from me in this conversation?" And so that's even a tool you can use with adults. And I thought that was so amazing. That like kind of helped me step back and be like, "Oh wow, he's not just listening, like he's truly trying to help me, like either
yeah,
being there supportive or like,
yeah,
hey, I have some ideas, you can try it, but
yeah,
sometimes you just want to vent. So he was like, I just
yes,
want to know
yes,
which way I can help you right now, which was
yeah.
really cool. I loved that.
So many things, so many experiences to talk about. But
Yeah, definitely.
what's your best takeaway when you get feedback from the course that you have from other parents and kids?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is people go into it being like, awesome, I'm going to get some like behavior management strategies,
Mm,
and then they dive in and they realize what we've been talking about, like,
yes,
oh, this is like helping on a much deeper level. This isn't
yes.
just like, okay, let's help fix your behavior. This is really going and just helping develop like deeper connections even between the parent and child. So I
Mm,
think that's a big like aha that people are getting, that they might not expect
yeah.
going into it.
Okay, so they in fact have better connections with their kids now, and
Mhm.
their kids have better experiences with their
Yeah.
parents as well.
Yeah, and they can be more proactive instead of reactive, right? So like
Yeah,
the certain behavior strategies, it's like, okay, so put this in place, do this with your kids, and
yes.
then it'll help prevent further like craziness, which of
Oh,
course there's always going to be craziness. This isn't like the big
yeah.
resolution, but it definitely helps lessen a lot of that like stress.
How is this approach? How do you think is this different to other approaches? Yeah,
So I won't get too technical on you, but
yeah.
so with the thing that just came to my mind is social emotional learning. So as a teacher,
Mm,
this is very much social emotional learning, as opposed to like focusing on like solely academics, right? So
yeah.
that's my little like technical answer. But really, like what I noticed as a teacher was in my like when you walked into my classroom, there was a different feeling in the classroom and a bond among the kids than there was in
Um,
other rooms. And I always noticed that. And I was like, oh, maybe it's just like luck. I don't know. And then all of a sudden I started digging in. I'm like, no, it's the way that I'm doing all of this stuff that's creating
yeah,
that, right? And they're
yeah,
receptive to it.
yeah.
So that's really what it is. It's social emotional learning for kids, which is just helping address like regulate emotions and learning to even address them and like relationships, like creating, forming, and positive relationships, things like
Yeah.
that.
Okay. And do you find most kids are receptive to it? Like you said earlier,
Yeah, they
they repeat things, don't they? So
yeah, they are.
yeah.
They pick it up really quick, honestly. And even the kids, so like that one student that definitely made me work for it, right? He was not having it at first, but I knew it was sinking in. And like I said, he's one of my biggest success stories in my
Yeah, yeah,
mind because
yeah,
it did take longer for him,
yeah.
but most kids will pick it up right away. He
Most,
just had like intense trauma that he was sorting through
yeah.
himself and didn't understand, right? He's
Yeah,
young. Yeah.
they're all different anyway. So I guess you approach them a little bit different, each of them. Yeah. What was the lesson in this? Why is this so important to have a properly balanced child? And why is it important for them to be loved and cared for as well as parents? And why is it important to create that connection?
Just looking at our world today, I think
Yes.
it goes back to what we said before, like the hurt people, right?
Yes.
So, like, this. is the most important thing. So even in my classroom, I was like, okay, let's learn fractions today. But guess what? If someone's having a panic attack in the back of the room, we're
Mm,
going to be addressing that instead of
yeah,
fractions. I don't care if you understand fractions today,
right.
right? So like it is the most important just for life and just for learning all those life skills. So I would say it just goes right back to that phrase that we were going towards before,
To
just
avoid,
that
yeah.
helping people, yeah, helping people who are hurting be able to then face life in a different way, in a more positive way.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Michelle. I love
Thank
this
you.
conversation. I have a lot of like nephews and nieces,
Mhm. Yeah, you could
like
apply
8
it to
of them.
them.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yes, it just gives me an idea how to make them feel loved as well and how to
Mhm.
make them love themselves more. The daily check-in for myself as well.
Mhm.
It helps me a lot too. So, how do people get in touch with you if they
Yeah.
wanted to find out more about the Fixer
Yeah,
Up the
absolutely.
Parenting course?
Yeah, I would love that. So the website is
Mm.
fixerupperparenting.com, nice and easy. And then on Instagram, it's at fixerupperparenting. So either one of those, you can reach out to me and I'd love to hear from you.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you so much, Michelle, for your time today. And I do congratulate you for a wonderful course.
Oh,
And
thank you.
I wish you all the best as well with Fixer Upper Parenting. I'm sure you'll have more success and more
Thank
great
you.
stories to share in the
Yes,
future. Yes.
ongoing.
Yes.
Thank you so
And
much for having me again.
we have a new segment tonight, folks, where I will be reading a poem from my book, Conversations I Never Had with Luna and Other Stories. This poem is very topical because it talks about parents and children, which we just discussed earlier on in our interview. So, this poem is entitled A Letter to My Future Children. Dear children, my most special daughters and my most special son, you know who you are. I will not mention or write down your names anymore because apart from the fact that I know them by heart, I feel like those names are, like you, so fragile and should be handled with the utmost care, and like newborn babies, only respond to the softest, gentlest, most loving touch. And while I am looking forward to hearing myself calling you by them, and other people using them to address or refer to you, I would rather save it for the best and most appropriate and most opportune, the perfect time. Let this letter also be a way of saying I am truly sorry because I see your beautiful faces looking at and looking back at me with so much anticipation and longing. I see your wonderful smiles that give me hope to face a brand new day and give me reassuring comfort at the end of a long one. I see your bright eyes sparkle and glow at the thought of us being all together. I see your tiny little arms reaching out for a touch, a warm hug, though it be in my mind. I feel your warm love envelop me as much as it overwhelms you. And know that, though these dreams have become and still are real to me, I succumb to the fact that I do not have control over certain things and circumstances, and I'm not quite sure if and when I would be able to breathe you into life, into reality, or someone else will. And although it is true that we each make our own fate, I also believe that it is but right to let nature take its own course, that It is only through the same destiny that we realize which particular road to take. So with this, I pray that however long time takes, however far away the horizon is, however difficult or painstaking the journey will be, however futile or senseless the reasons may seem to be, whatever obstacles I go through, under no circumstances will I stop trying. If only to utter your names, if only to put a face behind those names, if only to put a smile on those faces, if only to look into those eyes, if only to feel your love through those arms that I tried to reach out to as well. This time for real. I hope you enjoyed that poem. Again, it is called A Letter to My Future Children from my book Conversations I Never Had with Luna and Other Stories. So that's it for tonight, folks. Thank you so much for listening in. And I hope you enjoyed our episode tonight, especially with that poem I read out. And I hope you tune in again next week, same time, Friday, 8 p.m. Perth time, where I will be interviewing a wonderful guest as usual. Please also don't forget to check out my website, www.conversationsIneverhadwithluna.com, where my book, Conversations I Never Had with Luna and Other Stories, is available. It's also available on Amazon, so you can check that out later on after the show. And I hope you have a wonderful night ahead of you. Again, this is Anna, Moonlight Conversations, signing out.